Uh-oh. I need to turn on some more lights. Da-da. All right. Hello, hello. I think you guys can see me and hear me. You can see me getting up, turning on some lights. I've got two of my dogs in the background. Most of you know I work from home. For those of you who don't know who the heck I am, my name is Bryan, and I am the Director of Skincare Research at Paula's Choice Skincare, which is based in Seattle. Although we're a global company, we are in probably about 24 countries, if not more, all around the world: Europe, Australia, Korea, several East Asian countries, and I'm sure more on the way. So I am here for the next hour live to take your questions. Happy New Year. Let's see. There's a side. It's been a while. It's been like December 14th, I think, was the last live chat I did with you guys, and so here I am back in the new year, and I hope all of you had a really, really nice holiday season. Good Christmases, good Hanukkahs, Kwanzas, whatever year-end holiday you celebrate, and I am a big fan of celebrating as many as possible. I hope it was a wonderful time, and it is freaking cold here. If you're watching from any part of the U.S. that's been caught in this terrible Arctic vortex, it is just, I was just telling my coworker on the phone that I think it's been, we're coming up on 2 weeks here in Michigan where the daytime high, the high temperature has not gone past like 14 degrees. And then the wind chill has hovered around 0. It's booger freezing weather, as I said. So I have my hot herbal tea. No caffeine after 2 o'clock for this guy. And I'm ready to take your questions. And one of the things that I wanted to mention, I see that there's already some questions coming in. Thank you. One of the things that I wanted to mention that I'm going to start doing more in these live chats, and you can tell me if you like it or not, but we're going to kind of move away a bit from the Ask Me Anything. You can still ask me anything, but I would love it if as a group we could try staying more on topic in terms of, I'll brainstorm on various topics that are seasonally relevant, for example, and you can ask me questions that relate to that topic. And we can do a 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon type relating, that's fine. But I think that will help make each live chat a bit more focused. And so what I had thought about for this chat, January 4th, our first live chat together of the new year, is that what are your skincare resolutions? What do you want to see happen to your skin this year? What do you want to change? What type of products would you like to see to make that change happen? Maybe you've tried several things out there and just haven't found that perfect solution yet, and maybe I can help you. So let's work together on that. Excuse the sipping. I'm going to go ahead and get started with answering some questions. First one will be from Elizabeth. She says, thank you for being so informative in these chats. I watch all of them. I was wondering if you could tell me if oils can penetrate over skincare with silicone. Elizabeth, it depends on the size of the oil molecule. Most plant oils, whether fragrant or not, and the not fragrant is my strong preference because the fragrant kind smell wonderful but won't make your skin happy. What a lot of people don't realize is that the various silicones, and different silicones, let me start this way, have different weights, different sizes, but all of them are porous. So it's a common, well, maybe not so common, but it's definitely a misconception that silicones suffocate skin, silicones don't allow skin to breathe. Separate from the fact that skin doesn't have its own respiratory system, I get what is being implied there, in that as far as the heavier silicones can feel a bit too occlusive and thick or even greasy on the skin, especially if you overdo it. And you can find the same thing is true with silicone serums for your hair, particularly if you have normal defined hair like mine and you overdo it. So because of the porosity, the natural porosity of silicones, other ingredients, including most oils that you put on top of them, should have no problem getting through. The silicone barrier, again, it's a porous barrier, but it's still somewhat of a barrier. In fact, some silicones like dimethicone are actually classified from a regulatory standpoint. You can use them as a skin protectant, similar to ingredients like zinc oxide. I know there's at least one other skin protectant that's in common use that I'm not thinking of, but zinc oxide and dimethicone are the big ones. I digress. And I promise there's no caffeine in that tea. The silicone barrier, again, we're talking about a porous barrier, but it may slow the penetration of those oils or some other ingredients. So if anything, so what some manufacturers do, including Paula's Choice, is it will utilize certain silicones to help control the penetration of ingredients into the uppermost layers of skin. That is almost always to somebody's benefit, particularly with the more bioactive ingredients like retinol, like vitamin C, that you don't want to have hit your skin all at once because you can get a kickback from irritation. I know I've talked before about with those types of ingredients, it's a balancing act. You don't, too much of a good thing can be a problem. You want to monitor that. So there you go, Elizabeth. So let's peel off. We can see you. Michelle says, hi, Bryan. Here's the question from, I believe, Sane or Sane. If I got that completely wrong, I apologize. Hi, Bryan. Are peel-off masks bad for skin? The doggies. Oh my gosh, yes, there they are. The white one is Oliver, and the light blonde one is Satine. And Satine is our old girl. She's on her way to 16, if you can believe it. She's Pomeranian. Peel-off masks. They can be bad for skin. Most of the peel-off masks, what allows them to be peeled off skin like in one even layer as opposed to like strips and scrubs, is an ingredient called polyvinyl alcohol. And it's a bad alcohol to a certain degree. It's not in the same league in terms of badness as denatured alcohol or SD alcohol 40. Those are the ones we consistently warn against. It's a plasticizing alcohol. I don't necessarily think that ingredient is all that irritating in and of itself, but the action of peeling that layer off your skin, if you're seeing like your skin come with it, anytime you pull or tug at your skin, it's just not good. It can cause tiny little weakens. There you go. It can weaken tiny little bands of elastin in your skin, which is what gives your skin its ability to bounce back. See, I've got a pretty good amount of elastin in my hand. I'm damaging my skin right in front of your eyes, but I'm trying to prove a point. There you go. Okay. So if when you take off your peel-off mask, you're seeing that skin come up with it, either the mask is too strong, or maybe you're being too rough, or maybe it's just not the right type of mask for you. Overall, though, when it comes to masks, I think the cream gel, cream masks, clay masks, those absorbent type masks, or mud masks as they're sometimes called, all of those have much better value for your skin than a peel-off mask. You'll get some smoothing and some hydration and maybe even a little bit of a mechanical type mild exfoliation from a peel-off mask. But again, there are better products to give you all of those results. So I'm largely not a fan of peel-off masks because I just don't think they're worth the time or the effort compared to other masks. If you want a mask, mask away. But I'd rather see you use a mask that's going to do more for your skin, and hopefully you agree with that. Lots of people saying hello. Hi, guys. Hey, look at me, says, Happy New Year, Bryan. How obsessed should I get with pH in my skincare routine? Like which skincare products? Not too obsessed at all. The pH, using products with different pHs, I know I've discussed this before, does not throw off the pH of the products that you already have on your skin. The majority of skincare products are pH balanced to fall within the natural pH range of skin, which is acidic. Depending on whose study you're looking at, I've seen the natural pH of skin ranging from about 4.5 to 6 or 6.5. I think it's fair to say that about 5 to 5.5 is a good average pH for our skin surface. So no, the only time you ever need to worry about pH is when you're looking at an AHA or BHA exfoliant, because research has shown that those types of ingredients, in order for them to work as exfoliants, in order for them to unglue those bonds that hold those dead skin cells to the surface and lead to clogged pores and all kinds of other stuff you don't want to see, those exfoliants need to be formulated within a tight pH range. And then once they go past that, you start losing the exfoliating ability. Doesn't mean that those ingredients are completely useless, but the further away you get from a pH of like 3 to 4, which is the optimum range, the less effective those products are going to be, no matter what percentage of acid you see on the label. So we've reviewed products with like 25 to 35, 40% glycolic acid in the past, and we think, wow, that's pretty potent, that's pretty strong. I don't know if this is something people should be using at home. And then we pH test it, and the pH is like 5 or 5.5. The other thing to mention about pH when it comes to exfoliants and just skincare in general is that it may not sound like the difference between an exfoliant with a pH of 4 and one with a pH of 4.2 or 4.5 is that big of a difference. But you need to think of the jump in pH numbers as being as relating to the jump in numbers on the Richter scale, as in earthquakes. And I would much rather go through an earthquake if I had to go through one. Actually, I have been through one in Seattle. But I would much rather go through a lower magnitude quake, say 5, than I would a 5.5 or a 6, which can be significantly more serious, significantly more damaging, not only to people, but to property. Okay, let's see. Put my tea right there. Leonie says, hi Bryan, I was wondering if it's okay to use retinol at the same time as adapalene, which is the active ingredient in Differin. The original strength of Differin, which I think is 0.1 or 0.01%, I'd have to double check, is now available over the counter. Stronger versions are only available by prescription. So she says, I'm using Differin gel nightly, but I'd like to try out PC's new Ceramide Enriched Moisturizer. Thanks. Do you mean this one? Our new clinical Ceramide Enriched Facial Firming Moisturizer. I love this stuff. This is, for anyone who's wondering, first of all, you'll notice when you get this that we have really upped our game in terms of our packaging. It is, we're always seeking to find the best possible packaging, not only for the integrity of the ingredients in the product, but also user friendliness. And I think, and at least I hope most of you will agree, because we are rolling out a new look for our packaging throughout this year. Surprise! And this is kind of the debut. But I hope that you find that our packaging is looking better and better, in addition to becoming more user-friendly. But this moisturizer, the new clinical Ceramide Enriched Firming Moisturizer, is a fairly, there's a lot going on with it. It has retinol. It has 4 forms of vitamin C that total, I believe, about 7% vitamin C in the product. You're getting a series, I believe 5 of ceramides. Those are not, we are using we're using the expensive type of ceramides. They are synthetic lab engineered ceramides, and that is a good thing because they are actually more biocompatible with your skin, and you will see even greater effectiveness compared to, say, a plant ceramide, which can be great for the plant, but your skin doesn't readily recognize a plant ceramide the way it can a synthetic ceramide. And those ingredients come at a price, and we're giving you a lot of them in this product. Anyway, it is a more potent product from a treatment point of view, along with that hydration. So I would experiment. It isn't that you can't, but whenever we're talking about doubling up on retinoid ingredients, whether over the counter or prescription, You always want to pay attention to how your skin responds and then adjust frequency of use or consider discontinuing one or the other product. Another option, and you may want to try this, is to put the Differin on in the morning and then proceed with the rest of your skincare routine, finish with sunscreen, makeup if you wear it, and then at night you'd use the moisturizer. So you're getting that prescription retinoid during the day, the adapalene, and then you're getting your retinol plus your other bioactive ingredients at night. Okay. The new ceramide products, there are two. What is the other one, please? There will be an eye cream. There's a bit of a delay on that. We had to go back to the drawing board ever so slightly, but we are actively working on that, and we hope to have it out for you within the next 3 to 4 months. Don't quote me on that because it's not official yet, but there will be a partner eye cream to this moisturizer, and yes, it is fantastic. And it is a different texture than our eye gel or our original Resist Anti-Aging Eye Cream. So I think, just as a bit of a sneak preview for those of you who have tried the eye cream and have tried the gel, I think you'll find the ceramide eye cream is going to be kind of right in the middle of those two textures. So if that's what you're looking for, I think you're really going to like it. Sarah says, hi, Bryan. First of all, thank you so much for everything. My question is, how should I adjust my skincare routine on days that I swim? One of the things I like doing when I swim, and these days I normally do that with my little guy, with my son, when I take him to swim lessons, but I'm the one that's always in the pool with him. My husband refuses, which is fine, not his thing. It's an indoor pool, so what I do is I put silicone serum, like our original dark blue tube Resist Super Antioxidant Concentrate serum. I'll put that all over my face, and then I'll put another serum or a body lotion that has some silicone in it from the neck down. And what I find that does, again, we were talking earlier about silicone creating a porous barrier. The other thing about silicones is that they are relatively impervious to rinse off from water. That's why a lot of the smoothing conditioners for dry, frizzy hair contain silicone ingredients. They cling to the hair and they help to smooth that cuticle layer so the hair looks shiny, frizz is minimized, and they hold up even under high pressure water rinsing. It's not like they hold up completely, but there's enough left behind that you can still get that result. So that's the premise I take with my skin. If I'm going to get my hair wet, I kind of don't worry about it because at least one of the styling products I typically use have some silicones in it, and I'm kind of bad in the sense that I'm not one of those people that shower before I get in the pool. I don't get in the pool all dirty, but you know what I mean. But if you have more hair than I do, if your hair is highly processed or otherwise chemically treated in one way or another, I think honestly the easiest solution is to don a swim cap. That way you don't have to mess with your hair. Everything stays protected and pretty much sealed from the damaging drying effects of chlorine, and then you're good to go. Oils, like pure oils, can work, but they just don't feel as nice from head to toe. And I'm pretty convinced that those would gunk up the pool water way more than silicones, because silicones really kind of want to cling to your skin. Smutyanka, happy start of the year, Bryan. Question on allergic reactive skin. I cannot tolerate vitamin C, glycolic acid, retinol. Any suggestions how to approach that? Greetings from Belgium. Well, let's see. Given that there are different types of retinol over the counter, and there are different types of vitamin C, what was the other ingredient you mentioned? Glycolic acid. There are other types of AHAs. I want to know how much you've experimented with variations on those ingredients, or if it's to the point where you're like, you know what, I don't even want to try that anymore because every time I try something with any form of those ingredients, sends my skin into a tailspin. The good news is that those specific ingredients called out are not they're great, but they're not the end-all be-all of skincare. So there are alternatives you can take a look at. And probably leading the pack, that two that come to mind right away are niacinamide, which is a vitamin B3, and any of the various peptides. I think there's a ton of peptides out there that can have some really remarkable anti-aging benefits for skin. Everything from calming skin, hydrating, helping skin hold on to moisture better, improving skin tone, brightening, all of that good stuff that can address all of that stuff that makes us look older. So I would look at those two. Keep your routine as gentle as possible. Make sure all of your products, or at least almost all of them, are fragrance-free. Anytime you have sensitive, allergic-prone, reactive skin, fragrance is the number one provoker of those. So I know it can be, it isn't, I admit, fragranced products, there is that olfactory element to using them that can be very pleasant. And again, like I said earlier, it makes your nose happy, but it isn't necessarily making your skin happy. So if it helps, find a really good scented candle or an essential oil type blend that you can burn in a diffuser in your bathroom, and get that going a few minutes before you start your skincare routine, so that when you're in there going through the steps with your fragrance-free products, your nose is still getting that beautiful olfactory hit that makes the entire ritual, and I think that's a positive word, of going through your skincare routine that much better without damaging your skin from the fragrance. Wow, lots of questions. You guys are active today. Stephanie says, does what we eat, drink affect our skin and cause breakouts? Yes. Can good skincare trump bad diet? Only to an extent. I noticed that my skin has been breaking out during holiday season when my diet hasn't been so great. Me too. I went on, I kind of just said all bets are off. Maybe you can't see it as well. I got some breakouts down here that I have been actively treating, and they're almost gone. But I am right with you. I kind of went off the healthy eating bandwagon during my little holiday break. And, you've got neighbors coming to the door with cookies and cakes and snacks. It was also my birthday. My husband made me the most amazing carrot cake bread pudding. Talk about a food coma. But yeah, when we take in too much sugar, when we take in too much refined carbohydrates, and if you're like me at that festive time of year, you take the holiday cheer part literally, and maybe you're having an extra glass of wine, an extra beer, a little bit of scotch, whatever adult beverage you enjoy, chances are you're being a little bit more cavalier about how much you imbibe during those festive times, because it's fun. Keep it under control. Don't drink and drive. But all of that can play havoc with your skin. The other factor is that oftentimes when we engage in such activities, we tend to get lazy about upkeep for our skin. So maybe we go to bed with our makeup on. Maybe we're not going through our entire skincare routine every night because we're just so exhausted by the time it's ready to hit the hay, because we've had so much bad food that we just feel, I like the word logy, just when you're just like, oh, I can't move. Anyway, yes, all of that can impact your skin. In terms of breaking out, though, I also wanted to mention two more things. It is a myth that unhealthy foods like fried foods, so like French fries and chocolate, directly cause acne. That has never been proven per se. But what can play a role are certain nutrients that you may be sensitive to, such as iodine. And a surprising one for a lot of people is dairy. And the reason that dairy can be an acne trigger for quite a few people is because of the hormones that are naturally present in milk. And it doesn't matter if the cows are grass-fed. It doesn't matter if the cows are from organic farm. It doesn't matter how they're raised or what medications they are or aren't given, or even if they're not given any added hormones, the naturally occurring hormones in animal milk can can cause disruptions inside your body. And for some people, that can lead to acne. Obviously, with the level of dairy consumed worldwide, it isn't an epidemic problem, but it's worth noting if you do eat a lot of dairy, cheese, milk, yogurt is believed to be less of a concern because of the probiotic bacteria it contains. But it's worth experimenting with and reducing or cutting out dairy and seeing how your skin fares after. Give it about a month or so. Don't just do it for a week and say, oh, I'm still breaking out. It must not be the dairy. You need to give it some time. And about 4 weeks is good that's a good gauge. Super Aquid says, I'm butchering these names today. Is it normal for Tretinoin, which is the active ingredient in Retin-A or Renova, or available generically, to cause closed comedones? I wouldn't say it's normal, but it can happen. It likely isn't the Tretinoin itself, given what we know about how Tretinoin works throughout the pore lining. It is likely something in the base that the Tretinoin is in. A lot of the prescription Tretinoin creams especially, they're not in the nicest feeling, cosmetically elegant bases. It tends to be wax-based thickeners, maybe a heavier oil, and that could be what is really behind the closed comedones, not the Tretinoin itself. So if you suspect that's the case, if you are using a creamier Tretinoin and getting those bumps, talk to your dermatologist about alternative forms, alternative bases for that ingredient. Retin-A Micro comes to mind. We were talking about different earlier. That is available in a gel. There are other gel forms of Tretinoin that cut out those thick, waxy ingredients. And obviously, you still get the benefit of the Tretinoin itself. Okay, next question. TLJ, hey Bryan, Happy New Year. Will PC ever come out with rewards point-based system? It would be great to be able to collect points or something to use on months when on a budget. I agree. We have talked about that before. We had, I don't think it's still active on the site, and forgive me if I sound ignorant there. The company is such now that is not my department, as they say. We did have a refer a friend type reward program where you refer someone, they get a special link to come shop the site, they get $10 off their purchase, and then you, as the person who refers them, get a $10 credit. I think that's how we did it. It was a credit that you could then use towards future Paula's Choice product purchases for yourself. I will pass that on to the appropriate team because if that program isn't still running, I suspect that they are working on something even better, and maybe that will debut sometime this year. But in the meantime, obviously, every month we have different specials, and keep an eye out on those. Particularly, they usually kick in the first week of the month, not always on the first day, but usually by like day 3 or 4, that new special will begin. Jackpot says, hi Bryan, I've seen some sunscreens that claim to protect against high energy visible light and infrared light. Are these products any different from other sunscreens? In terms of their active ingredients and what is and isn't acceptable, and the SPF testing that they go through that's required in order to get that SPF rating, which there's a whole set of testing and regulations around, no, those sunscreens aren't any better. You're not getting SPF 30 plus, this, and this. So what the high energy visible light and the infrared light, which is a kind of that both of those are light that goes beyond 400 nanometers, which is the visible, that's the top end of the visible range of UVA light. And then UVB light, which UVB rays are the sun's burning rays. Easy way to remember them is B is for burning and A is for aging, although no question, UVB rays are definitely aging. UVB rays, that range is from 290 to 320 nanometers. Anything above, I believe, well, 700 nanometers and up, I believe, is the high energy, and then infrared light is between 400 and 6 something. I may be talking out of turn there in terms of getting those numbers mixed up. I apologize. But what research has shown thus far in a sunscreen product that can help also shield your skin from those other forms of light are antioxidants. And the more, the better. You can look to the tried and true antioxidants. There's some interesting plant extracts that are also incorporated into certain products, including ours. Yay, don't you love it when we're ahead of the game? That go that extra mile to help shield your skin. What the theory is that what's happening when those other energy forms, those other wavelengths of light hit your skin, is that they behave in a different manner than UVA and UVB light. We know very well what those can do to skin over time. The other forms of light are believed to generate what's called reactive oxygen species in skin. So another word for those is free radicals. Antioxidants on the surface of skin can help step up and intercept that reaction before it can go deeper into skin and cause lasting damage. That's the long and the short of it right there. What we don't have right now, got to say this too, is a rating system like SPF to determine how much visible light or how much infrared light that any given product is offering your skin, which is why at this point, that's why I said earlier, the more antioxidants, the better. So not just in your sunscreen, you can use them in your serum and your moisturizer, treatment products. Fortify your skin at night with products that contain antioxidants. It's kind of like a good prep for the next day. Not to mention that free radical damage is ever present. It doesn't just stop when the sun goes down. Simply pudding. Oh, I love pudding. Do you have any tips on the topic of shaving? I have very coarse facial hair and I have issues with skin irritation. Whiteheads, razor bumps, not as bad as it used to be, but shaving tips hard to find. I can definitely spout some off. I struggle with that to some point myself. I use our PC for Men shave cream. I also like, sometimes I'll switch to a shaving gel, and I like the fragrance-free options from Aveeno, whether it's their main line or their men's line, it's the same stuff. Or there is a fragrance-free shave gel, I think it's called M-Shave, that I've used in the past from Clinique, and Everyman Jack, which you can get, I see it most often at Target stores. Those are all, I like all of those brands, and of course Paula's Choice is in that mix because they're all gentle and fragrance-free, and so many men's shaving products are just perfumed to the hilt. It's ridiculous. You really shouldn't smell your shaving cream on your face when you're done shaving. So, basic tips, change your razor often. If you are using a 5-blade razor, which is very common these days, try switching or stepping down to a 3-blade razor. That's what I use. I find that when I try the 5-blade razors, which I do from time to time, because often when you buy the 3-blade sets, they sneak a 5-blade one in there because they want to get you to use it because they cost more. I think those 5-blades, they usually tear up my face, particularly my neck. So I try to stay away from them unless I use them very gently. Shave in the direction of the way that the hair grows. Generally, that means on the face, you're going to be shaving in downward strokes, short downward strokes. Rinse your blade often. If you're only rinsing your blade 2 or 3 times during the shaving process, that absolutely can lead to missed areas, and it'll cause you to go over the same areas again and again and again, which increases the likelihood of irritation and bumps and redness. On your neck, if you look at a close-up of a man's neck and the way whiskers on the neck typically grow, they typically grow up and down and sometimes sideways. And if you have curly hair, the whisker can actually like curve around and dig into the skin, which leads to a specific type of bump that we don't need to get into right now. But all of that is to say that when you are shaving your neck, the general recommendation is to use up and down strokes so that you're getting the hairs that grow in both directions. Rinse well. I would highly recommend applying a liquid salicylic acid exfoliant type product afterwards. We have one in our men's line called PC for Men Soothe and Smooth. Super gentle. It's not your father's aftershave. It's alcohol free, fragrance free, and it does contain 2% salicylic acid. And if you're sitting there thinking, well, wait a minute, isn't shaving a form of exfoliation? It is, in a rough sense, but yes, it is. Why I advise using that type of product after shaving, particularly if you've got bumps and redness, is that salicylic acid is so calming. It can really help to normalize those visible signs of shaving damage, and I think you should make it a part of your routine in one way or another. If you need something that is more hydrating than Soothe and Smooth, you could look to our Skin Perfecting 2% BHA lotion, or if you like the idea of like a liquid that you just kind of pour and splash onto your face, the best-selling worldwide Skin Perfecting 2% BHA liquid would be an option. Okay. Rafia says, I have melasma-like pigmentation and acne marks and open pores. Need skincare routine, please. Oh, Rafia. That is a tricky set of problems. And I like having these discussions because this set of issues is a good time to remind you that skincare can do a lot, but it has limitations. And melasma is a very stubborn type of more diffuse pigmentation that is really best addressed with the help of a dermatologist who can discuss the various in-office treatment options as well as at-home prescription topical products that you can use alongside your skincare. So a leave-on exfoliant, daily sunscreen is essential. In fact, if you're dealing with something like melasma or any type of a hyperpigmentation issue, you've got to make broad spectrum SPF 30 or greater sunscreen part of your daily mix. It's non-negotiable, or you have to be willing to accept that whatever you do, however much money you spend on treatments or prescriptions or however many dermatologists you go see, your discolorations aren't going to get much better and will in all likelihood get worse. Sun protection is just critical to the success of any such routine. Acne marks, I'm not quite sure what you're referring to. If you're referring to damaged skin, that isn't something that skincare can really help. If you are referring to the marks left over after a blemish has faded, it depends on their coloration. If they are tan to brown, you can consider applying an over-the-counter product that contains 2% hydroquinone. We offer two different options. One is a gel that also has 2% BHA, so it's kind of a double whammy of benefits there. The other is a lotion, and these are both called triple action dark spot erasers, part of our Resist line. The other is a lotion that has 7% glycolic acid, which is an AHA. Generally speaking, choose based on your skin type. If you're more normal to dry, go with the lotion version. If you're more normal to oily, or if you're also dealing with clogged pores, go with the gel. You also mentioned open pores. I'm assuming that you mean enlarged pores because from a physiologic standpoint, pores don't open and close like window blinds. They can expand, they can get bigger, but that happens for various reasons, one of which can be excess oil production, one of which can be a buildup of the oil on the dead skin cells and other debris in the pore lining that comes out right at the surface. And then sun damage. Sun damage can absolutely, over time, because the sun damage causes the supportive elements of skin, which help keep it smooth and buoyant, because it slowly destroys those over time. It can lead to the pores becoming larger, particularly over the higher points of the face through here and your nose. Think about, the sun hitting your face. It's going to hit those peaks first and most intense. Not going to hit down here as well or as thoroughly, although you're getting bounce back from the ground. So don't take that as a only put sunscreen here type recommendation. Goes all over. I think you could get a lot of mileage for the acne marks and for the enlarged pores by using a toner or that contains niacinamide, or a booster product that contains a higher amount of niacinamide. So our Resist 10% niacinamide booster can help a lot. I mentioned the hydroquinone products. You'll want to use a gentle cleanser. You'll want to take a look at our sun protection products and find one that is right for your skin type. That might take some experimenting because we want you to want to wear your sunscreen, meaning we want you to look forward to putting it on and not view daily sun protection as a chore. So you may need to try more than one of those. And we have a great 60-day return policy. And then just recapping there, Rafia, you want to make sure, I would, for the melasma, that will need professional attention just to really get that under control. So don't put that off for too long. But there's no reason you can't start the gentle skincare using what I mentioned right away. Isabird says, or asks, assuming both are well formulated, is a vitamin C serum equally effective than a vitamin C lotion? Well, it can depend on how much vitamin C they contain. But for the sake of this discussion, let's assume they both contain the same amount. Let's also assume they both contain the same form. There are multiple forms of vitamin C. The other factor that can influence effectiveness is the lotion or the serum. Either one could have a different mix of ingredients that help the vitamin C get a bit further into skin than it would if a different ingredient mix was chosen. So all of those things need to be taken into consideration. But generally speaking, a serum is designed to be a bit more potent and to penetrate a bit further into the uppermost layers of skin compared to a lotion. Most of what you're going to see in a lotion is designed to remain on the surface and just slightly below it. And that's by design because you want those moisturizer ingredients to stay close to and right on the surface, or they're not going to work to prevent moisture loss, such as can occur from this very dry, cold Michigan environment that we're in right now. So go with a serum, I would say, if I had to pick. But there's no reason you couldn't experiment with both and see what you like better, or you can alternate between the two. People saying they've missed me. Oh, it's nice to be missed. Thank you. Anonymous 2012. Oh my God, I've indulged so much over the holidays and my skin looks like pepperoni pizza. I have a birthday this month and I need to clear up my skin in time to overdo it again. What should I do? Well, try to learn a little bit from your December overindulgence, and maybe because this is your birthday, unless you're one of those people that go around and say, it's my birthday month. Which, you know, good on you if you do. Boy. I don't know what you're using now to take care of your skin, but if you're not using a BHA exfoliant, such as one of the options from our Clear line, which is our acne line, and then our daily skin clearing treatment from same line that contains benzoyl peroxide, those would be my top recommendations. Make sure you're using a gentle cleanser. Make sure the moisturizer that you are using isn't too thick or creamy, and that it's maybe making the breakouts worse. If you are using that type of moisturizer because it's cold and dry and your skin just feels drier or dehydrated, I get it. But in order to get the breakouts under control, we need to rethink that. And what that typically will mean is rather than use one heavy-duty moisturizer, you're going to use 2, maybe even 3, depending on your routine, lighter weight products that you then layer. That will get your skin to the moisture level that needs to be to feel comfortable and be smooth and supple, but it will severely minimize the risk of making the breakouts worse. So for me in that situation, I would layer like our brightening essence, which kind of has like a fluid serum texture, with the Pure Radiance skin brightening treatment, which is a thinner lotion. Kind of comes out looking a little thick, but then when you put it on, and actually in between that, I would probably layer, especially at this time of year being so cold, I'd layer the Resist Hyaluronic Acid Booster, which is a gel. And you know, I've got something similar on right now, and I don't feel like my skin feels soft and smooth, but it doesn't feel greasy. And I have combination skin, and I still break out every now and then. So I'm right there with you. Bria X says, this year I'd like my acne scars to really lighten. So just to clarify, we're not referring to a true scar, as in permanent damage to skin. We are referring to an acne mark, which is the leftover sign of where the blemish used to be. It's technically not a scar. I know it's often referred to as that, but it's an important distinction to make, because those acne marks can and do fade with time, and then there are things you can do skincare-wise, as well as procedure-wise at your dermatologist to get those marks gone even sooner. Already using the BHA. Noticed great results. Anything else you would suggest? I would. Came to the right place. So when I get those marks, I absolutely use the BHA. The other two products that I have reached for that I have found good results with are either our Resist C15 Super Booster, which is a liquid. Just put a few drops of that on. You can put it on right over the exfoliant twice a day if you'd like. And or we have a Resist Vitamin C Spot Treatment, which contains 25% vitamin C. That has more of a silky paste-like consistency. And don't let that paste thing, it's more about how it looks versus how it feels. It doesn't feel pasty on skin. It actually feels very silky. And you can just dab that right on the spot. It's great around the eyes as well, like orbital bone here where you start seeing those lines radiating. Thank you, 40s. That's what I do, and then I also finish with sunscreen. You knew I was going to say that every day. Reason sunscreen is so important is because cumulative sun damage hurts your skin's ability to get better on its own. It wants to. It really does. And we would, if just wearing sunscreen every day, it's one of the most wonderful things about it isn't just like, oh, I'm not going to get a sunburn, or oh, I'm not going to get wrinkles this soon. It just allows your skin to get back to its healthiest state, because sun damage, even just that visible light damage, does so much to keep skin from being at its best. It's really shocking, actually. Angie says, what is your opinion on castor oil? Claims are that it can help an irritated scalp and encourage hair and eyelash growth. Those claims are completely bogus. I've seen them before. They come and go over the years. Sometimes a new oil gets thrown into the mix. There is nothing inherently special about castor oil for any of those concerns. Honestly, it's a waste of time. Let's see, what else? If your scalp is irritated and you're not dealing with classic dandruff, which is, most people can get that under control by using over-the-counter anti-dandruff shampoos, but your scalp actually might be irritated from fragranced hair care products. I know, good luck finding a great fragrance-free hair care product, particularly styling products. It's relatively easy to find fragrance-free shampoo or even a conditioner. They're out there. Not nearly as common as the fragrance type, but they're not too hard to find. Fragrance styling products, on the other hand, are tricky. So particularly if you're using a highly scented hairspray, aerosol or non, because it's difficult to keep some, if not all, of the hairspray ingredients from getting on your scalp when you use them. Like if you're putting on a styling cream or a gel, you can kind of start further back and take greater care to not get it on the scalp. It's harder to do that with spray products. So take a look at what you're using, and if it's strongly fragranced, a great example of a strongly fragranced hair care line, Clairol Herbal Essences. Hoo boy, you can smell that stuff a mile away. And the Aussie line. Oh my lord. That purple flower may make your nose happy, but it's sending your scalp into a tailspin. Okay. For encouraging hair and eyelash growth, hair growth, the #1 option, and it can be used by women, is minoxidil. That is the active ingredient in Rogaine, which is available over the counter. Paula herself uses that with much success. And for eyelash growth, you'll want to look to a product like Prescription Latisse. Those are tried and true, proven, safety tested. Not to say that they don't have potential side effects that you'll want to read up on, and any concerns you can bring up with your healthcare provider and before you start using them. But I would much rather see you go down that road than get caught up in the nonsense around castor oil or any other exotic ingredient that's being touted as a miracle cure for those types of concerns. Because the internet is full of them. You will have no trouble finding such stuff. But really, if they worked, and if it was really that easy, because castor oil is not hard to find, nobody would have those issues. I mean, if you could cure it or fix it that quickly, why wouldn't you? Okay. Sarah says, hi, Bryan. Stay warm. I'm doing my best. How do I prep for wind? I go to University of Maryland, a huge campus, and I'll have to walk outside in the winter for extended periods of time to get to class. Scarf, absolutely. You might look like a, what's the word I'm looking for? I wanted to say Eskimo, but I don't mean that at all in an offensive way. You just want to bundle up and cover as much of your skin as possible. If your skin can take it, if it's on the drier side year-round, I don't think it's a bad idea to put on a very thin layer of a product like Aquaphor Healing Ointment, which really sets up a strong barrier against external aggressors like wind. Doesn't provide any sun protection. You still need your sunscreen, but you could put on a really thin layer of Aquaphor, particularly on the cheeks, and then follow up with a moisturizing sunscreen or a tinted moisturizer with sunscreen that you're going to apply evenly. And that should help. The facial oils that are out there, most of them are fragranced. We make a blend, facial oil blend, that is not fragranced. You could go to a health food store, Whole Foods type place, and look for single oils like Evening Primrose or jojoba or grapeseed, and put a few drops of that into your moisturizer and apply that to your face, including around the eyes, and then follow with your sunscreen. You don't want to mix oils of any kind with your sunscreen because that could hinder its effectiveness. Those would be my best tips, really, to try to get through that with as minimal harm to your skin as possible. Carlene says, can lotions and creams help prevent stretch marks during pregnancy or increase the likelihood? Do oils work better than creams, and when to start? I'm 4 months along and barely showing. So, Carlene, there's no harm in using stretch mark lotions or creams during pregnancy as long as you understand that stretch marks are likely still going to happen. There is nothing you can apply topically to stop that. What the lotions and creams will do, especially as you get further along in your pregnancy, is that they'll make the skin feel more comfortable. Some women, they barely show when they're late in pregnancy, and some women absolutely show earlier on and then continue to get bigger as the baby's due date draws near. Depending on the size, your natural size and your frame, that the skin in that area can extend and stretch quite a bit, and that is actually what causes that supportive structure well below skin surface to those strands to rupture and break, very much like rubber bands. You can't stop that from happening, but by applying lotions and creams, you can make that area feel more comfortable as you go through your pregnancy. Because as you can imagine, as that skin stretches, it starts to feel too tight. It can start to get itchy. So you need to put something there, but just bear in mind that whether it contains an exotic plant, whether it contains Tahitian noni flower, whether it contains cocoa butter, it won't stop stretch marks. Women who say that they put something on their belly and never got stretch marks, chances are very good that they never would have gotten stretch marks in the first place. Some women don't. Not fair, I know, if you're one of the people that will end up with stretch marks. But there's no way, if they've been putting that product on throughout their pregnancy, there's no way that you can know if they would have gotten stretch marks because they didn't do an A/B test. But knowing what we know from the research about what causes them and what really works to prevent them, and that answer is pretty much nothing in terms of topical. You can maintain a steady weight. You cannot get pregnant, but that latter option, if you want to have kids, well, that's not going to sit well. So yeah, it's just kind of one of those things. My mother used to say, and she had 5 kids, that she looks at stretch marks as a badge of honor, and proof of what her body was capable of. And I think that's kind of cool. It's good perspective, Mom. Amy says, hi, Bryan. I was just wondering whether you can pair the Resist Anti-Aging Retinol Serum under the Resist Anti-Aging Moisturizer for combo oily skin. Do they work together nicely? They do, absolutely. Some people might find that combination of retinol is a little too much for them, but it's an individual response. It's not, I wouldn't caution somebody against doing that. It's a matter of paying attention to how your skin responds. Texture-wise, I think those products work really nicely together, and I would recommend putting the Resist Barrier Repair Moisturizer on first, and then follow with the serum. And then if you use an eye area product, you can apply it at that time at night, and see how that works for you. Okay, let's take a few more questions here. Salwa says, my skin can't tolerate BHAs or something I can use as a substitute. Yes, AHAs. For many people, they can work just as well, even though they do go about working in a slightly different manner. And there's several AHAs, unlike really the only BHA in play these days is salicylic acid. For AHAs, you've got glycolic acid, lactic acid, malic acid, tartaric acid, mandelic acid. You could also look at what's called PHA, polyhydroxy acid. Lactobionic acid is a good one, and I believe the other one is called gluconolactone. And those were first made popular in the Exuviance by Neostrata line, and you will still find some very good PHA products there. Just don't get too heavily into their claims that PHAs are superior to AHA or BHA. The research that's looked at both of them has never really come to the conclusion that PHA is that much better. In fact, it's a pretty even playing field for the most part. Okay, Happy New Year, Bryan. Why is my acne worse in the winter? That's from Sarah. That's, I don't know. I don't know why it would be, other than changes that are going on internally, perhaps dietary changes, being a little bit less careful about what you eat. In the winter, when it's cold and we kind of go more into hibernation mode, I think the body naturally starts to crave those refined carbs. Simple carbs. Refined, simple, and sweet stuff. It's very easy to consume those foods, and that could be backing up on you in terms of showing up as breakouts. But again, yeah, that's speculation on my part. I can't say for sure why it would be worse in the winter. A lot of people find their acne gets worse in the summer. What I can encourage you to do is to stick with your acne routine and to talk to your dermatologist if the over-the-counter products you're using don't seem to be doing the trick anymore. It doesn't mean that you should stop them per se, but you may need to augment your routine with a topical prescription product that can get you over this hump. Patrick Bateman's routine. I don't know who that is. I'm sorry. Okay. Let's do a couple more questions. M-Veg Potato. Hi, Bryan. I was wondering if benzoyl peroxide and arbutin can be used at the same time. I don't know why they couldn't be. So I haven't seen anything to indicate that's a problem. So from everything I know, go for it. Also, can I put benzoyl peroxide on top of a toner with antioxidants? You can, although I would wait for the toner to absorb. Don't put the benzoyl peroxide on while skin is still wet with toner. Let the antioxidants start doing their thing. Okay, let's get a New Year's resolution question here. I'm going to scan these for just a second. Oh. Amy, real quick on your question about sheet masks, check what the team at Beautypedia says about sheet masks. I think there's 2 or 3. I want to say the one from Simple that we do recommend if you want to try that type of mask. But oh my gosh, so many of them are just over fragranced and a waste of time, and they could potentially irritate your skin. It's over cleansing. Right. Okay, you guys are asking very specific questions that aren't necessarily about New Year's resolutions for skin. Joe 6 Cindy wants to know why the salicylic acid gel is so greasy sticky. Can you please consider reformulating it to do away with these effects? We have considered that and haven't been able to come up with a version without resorting to using denatured alcohol, which we won't do. The ingredient in that product that makes it feel that way, and it doesn't feel that way for everyone. It can be personal experience. You might be using too much. You don't need a lot of the gel. It has a lot of slip to it. But it's the glycol type ingredient, and what that does and why we made the trade-off that we did with that product, knowing that it doesn't necessarily have the best aesthetics, is because it really helps the salicylic acid get to where it needs to be in skin, going a bit deeper into pores for those more stubborn clogs and bumps. So that's why it is that way. I used to use that product. I've stepped back to a 1% strength, generally speaking, which is our lotion in the Calm line. But when I did use that product, I mean, I know what you're talking about. And I would only use that at night, and I didn't care so much how my skin, if my skin looked or felt a bit greasier while I was sleeping, oh well, because I loved what it was doing for my skin. But I hear you there. It isn't the ideal texture. So try some of our other 2% BHA exfoliants. There's a lot of them. The Resist Pore Refining Treatment, the light blue line with 2% BHA, that is pretty much water light. You might find that is right up your alley, so you could give that a go. Call our client services team and tell them Bryan said send you a sample. Okay, we'll do one more question. Oh, yay, Amanda. Amanda went vegan and her skin got a lot better. That happens for some people. Okay, got that one. Okay. We'll close with Amy, who says, New Year's resolution for skin, be consistent and always wash my makeup off because even a well-formulated makeup wipe is better than sleeping in makeup. Amy, I couldn't agree more. Going to bed with makeup on is a great way to wake up with not so nice looking skin the next day. Puffy red irritated eyes. If you are someone who normally wears eye makeup, mascara, eyeliner, You really want to take care to make sure that you're getting that off from around the eyes and being as gentle as possible. Also, be aware that if you're a daily makeup wearer, that stuff can really kind of start caking under here. And this isn't an area where a lot of us are really thorough with our cleanser because we're concerned about getting the cleanser itself in the eye. You know, we're being careful about that. So it can help after you cleanse to take a liquid makeup remover, whichever one you prefer, on a cotton swab and lightly go over this area and above the lash line if you wear eyeliner or any sort of a long-wearing eyeshadow. Even if you think you've gotten all that eye makeup off, I promise you will be surprised at what you see on the cotton swab. And if you do this maybe once or twice a week, less often depending on how much eye makeup you might wear, I think you'll see less signs of irritation around the eyes. So let's make it our New Year's resolution as a team. We are a team here. You're all part of the Paula's Choice family. And I don't mean that as a platitude. It's, I'm sincere about it. Let's all be better about taking even better care of our skin, including removing as much makeup as possible before going to bed, even when we're tired. If it's last ditch effort, keep a makeup removing wipes on your bedside table. If nothing else, it's a reminder or a coaster. But anyway, this was a bit of a loosey-goosey chat today. I hope you got some good information out of it. I will be back next week. We are looking to keep these going on the regular, and we are shooting for doing these every Thursday. Same bat time, same bat channel, so about 2 o'clock Eastern time, 11 o'clock Pacific time. Come back and ask me your questions. Leave questions below. I do check back on these chats, probably not as often as I should, but I do check back eventually, and I will try to get to as many of your questions as I can. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sticking with Paula's Choice through 2018 and to date. And we've got a lot of cool stuff in store for you this year that I'm excited to be talking to you about and excited to keep helping you have the best skin of your life and to really help epitomize what Paula's Choice stands for, which is truth and beauty. We won't steer you wrong. Take care.